Hello, I'm author Dan Harris, and what I'd like you to consider today is my newest book, Strike. Now, the book has had some good reviews from the Reader's Exchange, from Kirkus, and from the editorial board of the Lowell Sun, but it was not reviewed by Dorothy Parker, and that's for good reason. Dorothy Parker died in 1967, but before she went, she penned this line to an unsuspecting author, and I quote, "This author runs the emotional gambit from A to B." Oh my, that was a tough day for commentary and reviews. Now, Strike, by Dan Harris, by me, is a story about a family-owned grocery chain. And actually, it's the Galletti family, and they are immigrants. They come overseas from Italy, and the dad starts out pushing a cart, a grocery cart, with fruits and vegetables in it, and he parlays that into one store, one Galletti store. Then his two sons take that one store up to 60 stores, and they become very formidable in the marketplace. The bigger chains, there are a lot bigger chains that are international and national, have more stores and more resources, but they quickly found that if they go one-on-one with Galletti, they usually lose. So it was a real David and Goliath type story. Now, the only problem that existed was that was a family-owned business. And if any of you have participated in family businesses, you know that they're unique, they're quirky, they're emotional, and they're volatile. And in this particular case, that piece, the family-owned piece, did something that no competitor could do at Galletti. It broke up a winning team. Now, Strike is the third book of a trilogy, and it basically follows the career of Russell Riley from the time he was a 13-year-old part-time aisle clerk until in his early 50s, he was the CEO of a large chain attempting to buy Galletti supermarkets. But I want to just circle back a minute to the family-owned business. As good as his career is and was, and the progress that he's made, he also became a casualty of the Galletti supermarket wars and was fired by them. So there's some irony that he's now a CEO of another chain trying to buy Galletti. Now, what did I like about Strike? I think it gives the reader a peek behind the shiny floors and the pristine, neatly placed packages on the shelf, so that you get to kind of look behind the camera and look into the back room. And there's a lot of surprises there. In this industry, there's mayhem, money laundering, and sometimes murder. Now, one chain owner that was a local guy, so I won't give his name, had an interesting enterprise going. What he had was every store had 13 registers. And one of the registers in each of these stores, the money from that register went directly to his bank account. He did not pass go, he did not collect $200, and he stayed away from the tax guy at all costs. Now, unfortunately, the IRS caught on to this scheme, and this owner did a couple of years in the big house. The second thing I really liked were the characters in this book. After all, these three books took me 9 years to write, and let's just take Riley for an example. I took Riley from age 13 as a part-time clerk to early 50s as a CEO of a large chain. And so you really get to know these people as you go through their lives, and there's a whole bunch of those type people that you kind of get glued to if you read these three books. Now, the thing that why Riley stands out is a higher standard. And how he could compete against the bigger chains was that he took a kind of a bizarre approach. He hired the person because of their creativity and mental acuity, he didn't care if they didn't know how to do the job he was hiring for, because Riley could teach him that. But what he wanted was somebody with a unique point of view that would come up with an idea that would beat competitors. And by doing this, he was the first guy that discovered that the enemy wasn't another grocery chain. The enemy really was the category killers, the big box stores. And so they came up with a strategy to take on the box stores, where their counterparts in the grocery trade weren't as quick to do that. So just a quick point on the characters. Now, I'm going to refer to Tolstoy, which really takes a nerve, because even mentioning Tolstoy and my name in the same sentence that has anything to do with writing is quite a feat. But the reason I wanted to mention it, and you probably know this story, Tolstoy would finish a book, he sent it to his editor and say, I'm all done, let's get it going. And so the editor would start looking at the grammar, start to look for a publisher, get the right advertising out, and just when he was ready to go, Tolstoy sent him 6 more chapters for the same book. And you can imagine how the editor felt about that. But the reason was Tolstoy really got into his characters, really liked them, and he knew that process would end when the book ended. And you can tell that he kept adding chapters, because if you've ever gone to the library and bought War and Peace, as you try to struggle that thing out the front door, you wish you had a suitcase handle to help you get it to the car. It's all big books. So for those reasons, I hope you'll find that it's worth a chance to buy Strike. It's available online at Barnes & Noble. If not at your favorite bookstore, it can be ordered by your favorite bookstore. And the reason is, I think you'll like it. It's a good yarn.